Hi, welcome to the first devlog for my newest original project. On the internet I go by Buttered Toast, but my friends and family like to call me by my actual name, which is Bert. I like to make games, I like to model, I like to do pixel art, and I've done a few game jams. I used to do a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, but I'm moving into a more original direction. I mainly wanted to do a devlog for this game because I want to look back on the development when it's finished, but also it's a good way to get feedback on my project, and I feel like if I have people knowing that I'm working on it, it'll help me feel more motivated and I'll be less likely to just give up on development. So I actually started working on this game a few months ago, and it had a way older version. It was kind of like Punch-Out, but from a side perspective. I ended up settling on this kind of gameplay, which is like a top-down brawler speedrun game. It's top-down mainly because that was just easier for me to do pixel art of. The story revolves around this little rabbit character I doodled in a notebook a few months ago. His name is Lucky. He's named after my favorite Disney character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And he's actually very unlucky, and that's kind of his whole gimmick. So the general story synopsis I've come up with is that due to Lucky's general unnatural unluckiness, he almost never has his rent on time, and the one time he does get it, it gets stolen. So he effectively has to go through and fight a whole bunch of people to reach the person that stole his money and defeat them as the final boss. Now, I haven't gone through the whole story that I wanted to have for the game, but I feel like that was a pretty good outline. One of the most important aspects of gameplay is the combo system, and I wanted to add it in because I feel like it just makes fighting games much more fun, and I wanted the player to have to juggle having a combo streak. So I decided to tie it to the super meter, which controls how much super you have, obviously, and once it fills you can use it, and the power that is default unlocked is that you can slow down the timer, and Lucky continues to move at the normal speed, but all the enemies move slower and the timer slows down. A lot of the influence for this game came from difficult games that I enjoy, like Cuphead, which is where I got the idea for the timer, as well as the grade screen, Hollow Knight, which I love for its boss fights and challenge, Dark Souls is where I got most of the healing mechanic, and these ones aren't really as much inspiration as much as they are just cool games that I found while doing research on games like Lucky. They're called Bad Boro and Archvale, and I'll go ahead and just link the game pages in the description because I think you should go check them out. Something I wanted to do for menus in this game and game over screens is have 3D renders, kind of similar to what PlayStation 1 games would have, where the games would be in 2D but they'd have 3D renders on the box, you know, games like Rayman, and I wanted to make some for the menus and for the page, so I put them together in Blender, and I think they turned out pretty well. The next thing I had to worry about was music, which I ended up just making some of. I've been using a tool called Jumbox. I was originally using Beatbox, but it doesn't let you make the tempo as fast as I like music to be, especially for such a fast-paced game. I felt like the music really needed to be fast, have a lot of high-pitched parts, a lot of running, moving parts, lots of runs, lots of little solos in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and put some previews of the music in the video. I've actually got the first level completely finished. I have a demo up on Newgrounds, which I'll go ahead and link in the description. Some of the things that I'd like to do in the future includes something I'm debating on, which is possible difficulty settings, because throughout a lot of gameplay tests I've gotten feedback that some of the game can be kind of difficult, and I'd like to alleviate that so that it's actually playable, but I'd like to keep a challenge, and I know it's kind of a debate or a discourse around a lot of people, and I'm not completely sure what I should do. Something I know for sure I'd like to add is some accessibility settings, because there's a lot of flashing stuff going on. There's a lot of colors that can be distracting. I'd like to add in something for color blindness possibly, which is why I've tried to avoid making color a big part of the gameplay like it was in the original. I've also liked to add a more fleshed out story, which I do have planned. I just kind of added the outline at the beginning of this video because I figured it would be good to have. And I'd of course like to add more levels. I have a lot of ideas for levels. So yeah, that's effectively it for this first devlog. I've actually got a demo, sort of, just the tutorial level up on Newgrounds. I'd really appreciate any feedback, and thank you for following the development of Lucky.